the Jaguars run their way to a victory against Carolina in Week 1. We'll discuss it here on Locked On Jaguars.
You are Locked On Jaguars, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It is your team every day here on Locked On Jaguars. We thank you for making us your first listen. I am Tony Wiggins, the host of the Locked On Jaguars podcast. It is victory in Week 1, and we'll discuss that here in just a second. Shout out to the everydayers for joining us each and every day here on Locked On Jaguars. You can find us wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you tap into that location each and every day. We ain't going to bury the lead, man. I'm going to tell you, you got two halves of this postgame show. The second one, Foyesade Oluokun turns up the D. We'll talk about him. We're going to start off today talking about Travis Etienne leading the offense to a win. Very, very workmanlike victory today for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Impressive. They played extremely well offensively, defensively, early in this game and had a nice lead before the half. Situational football was really, really good. We're going to go over, we ain't going to beat you up with stats because everyone knows the statistics, but we'll talk about what this means today. Now, mind you, Carolina might be a really, really bad team. Carolina might be a really, really bad team. And the Jaguars just very well may have just beaten the bad. But guess what? That's exactly the type of team that they used to lose to. This was the type of game that they have lost in the past. Offense got off to a really, really good start. They started to sputter a little bit. It looked like they were giving up too much on the run against Carolina, but they won, and they won by 16 points. So we're not going to sit here. It's an early season win. It's a new coach, new staff. We ain't going to sit here and beat them up about anything, but we are going to be transparent and point out certain things and some of the things that they did do really, really well and some of the things that they know they need to clean up. The main thing is the fans left today, although the weather delay was about an hour and 15 minutes, and it kind of took something out of the game a little bit where you kind of felt like you were there when you weren't supposed to be. Like, we got here at 12 o'clock, man. We ain't supposed to be here at 5:30, right? And it felt really, really weird, and it felt really, really strange. However, they won. These weird, strange games are usually games where they do not win. So I'm a little bit split on the player of the game. I'm going to actually give it to Travis Etienne. And here's the difference. I'll talk about Foye in a minute. And he did a great, great job. So did a lot of the newcomers to the Jaguars team. 16 carries, 143 yards, a long of 71. When you take that run off, he still has another 15 carries for 72 yards. That's still 4.5 yards a carry or somewhere thereabouts. Maybe even more than that, and 4.3 or something like that. To me, that's big. That is huge. Actually, like 4.8. That's huge, because the biggest thing about this team is they have never been able to run the football the way that you want a team that has any hopes and dreams of winning a championship or contending for one. The Jaguars just had never been able to do it before. In fact, they had over 200 yards rushing on the day. So one of the things that they've done with those 32 carries is they have really put a stamp and cemented on the fact that Liam Cohen said when he took over this team, they're going to know us. We're going to run the ball and we're going to move people. And move people is what they did. And you get those chunk plays when you move people. They kind of get tired of hitting you, kind of get tired of you leaning on them a little bit, and they get fatigued in the heat and the humidity. What happened is Etienne busted out one. Now, I know the guys are going to rag him because he got caught from behind by a linebacker, but he did slow up because he was trying to make a cutback, and it got him probably an extra 15 to 20 yards doing so. But he's my player of the game because he did something that we have not done in the past. Now, he's only done it for 1 week. He did not get into the end zone, but he did it for 1 week, and that's fine with me. There's some other players on offense that stepped up. Diami Brown had 3 catches for 52 yards and an end around where a jet sweep where he got a critical first down early in the game that allowed the Jaguars to get 3 points. A little bit of a tough day for Brian Thomas Jr. 1 reception for 11 yards. However, he did have a 9-yard rushing touchdown on the end around that I mentioned earlier. We had 4 running backs touch the ball, and then my man Brenton Strange had four catches for 59 yards. Now, I haven't mentioned Travis Hunter yet. Travis Hunter had 6 catches for 33 yards. It seemed like they wanted to get him the ball in short area spaces and allow him to shake, rattle, and roll. Never really got on track. He did have 1 for 10 yards. He led the offense in actual targets with 8. But Travis is going to be fine. And getting those 5-6 yards every time he catches the ball, it creates a shorter down and distance situation. It also creates a situation where you got to account for him, because if you miss 1 tackle on him, he can take it the distance. So they kind of account for him a little bit. They know where he is, and I think that opens things up for everybody else. So good on the offense. Anton Harrison did get a little bit of an injury to his back, and I want to qualify it as little bit because I don't know how serious that injury is, but we'll learn more about that. But they did come into the game with they had 2 inactives on the offensive line, so that means they had 7 or 8 guys. I have to really look at it and count back. That's when you start losing a guy during the game and you start like getting a little nervous, like, okay, wait a minute. I will give it 1 demerit to the team. It's penalties. Penalties kept putting them in long down and distance situations. So I'll discuss that. And Foyesade Oluokun, who a lot of people wanted me to make player of the game. And I'll tell you why I probably didn't do that in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars. All right, today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right means cashing in. And I hope y'all cashed in today if you had Travis Etienne, if you had him going more than the yards that were assigned to him. I think it was something like 60. Well, he doubled that, a little bit more than double that. So he did his job. Hopefully you did yours by downloading the Prize Picks app today and use the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. And today's show is sponsored and presented to you by Mazda, our friends over at Mazda, because they craft cars for those who choose to do more than simply move. They follow what moves them every time they drive. And that's what makes Mazda stand out. They go above safety, style, and performance to deliver a driving experience that feels alive in every detail. Mazda offers more than just safety. They offer a whole lot of stuff more than just safety, even though they won awards for it. They won more than anybody else as of August 2025. You can feel in the moment you get in that car, man, and get behind the wheel, you can feel the smooth handling, intuitive controls, and standard all-wheel drive in every crossover SUV. It's the small details that make the big plays. And just like there's more to every player, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Also, we would like to let you know that DoorDash is the real deal, man. It's almost time for next weekend's action. As soon as this weekend ends, you ready for some more action, right? All right. Time to look back and crown this week's MVP on who delivered. Powered by DoorDash, just like you can every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order. These players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. Foyesade Oluokun, 10 tackles, 1 interception, 1 forced fumble, and just being the catalyst on the Jaguars defense, did everything the Jaguars needed him to do in order for them to win the game. He really did set the tone, man. And just like Foy delivered for the team today, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays with DoorDash Streaks. You save every Saturday on your order, stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive and fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. All righty. All right. Here on the postgame show, I'm Tony Wiggins, talking about Foyesade Oluokun, how he turned this defense up. The reason I gave Travis Etienne the player of the game is because we got to see Travis do it all the time, but that was very, very impressive today for him to get 143 yards and the biggest chunk play of the day for the Jaguars. Foyesade Oluokun has kind of done this. What he has done today is what he has always done, maybe a little bit more of that today because of the system of Anthony Campani and the defense. Listen, man, I'm not going to take it for granted. Just because we're used to seeing it doesn't mean that I'm not going to give him credit for what he did on this defense today. He was all over the place, right? I got him on my fantasy team too, by the way. Shout out to Yahoo. But I do have Foyesade Oluokun on my fantasy team. I just kind of expect him to do it, and maybe it's wrong. It doesn't seem like I'm not acknowledging it. It's just that sometimes when you expect certain things to happen, they continue to happen. And then I expect to be able to give him defensive player of the game along with Jordan Lewis, who also played well. Foy's probably going to get this all the time. If I was doing offense and defense, it'd be easy. But I did a locked on Jaguars player of the game, and I didn't give it to him. But it does not mean that his leadership and his presence on the field was not felt. It absolutely was. And you can see a difference. And he is just not a dude that was tackling and making a bunch of tackles on a bad team. He's a dude that when a team is good, he's going to look even better. Shout out to him, man. Number 23 played his butt off. So did the new addition of Jordan Lewis and Eric Murray, too. I got to give Eric Murray the boomstick moment of the day. He really, really was laying wood back there from his safety position in the deep middle of the field. Some things they need to improve on. Penalties. It was too many times. It was 1st and 2nd and 20 or more yards. That is usually a recipe for disaster. It wasn't for the Jaguars. They kept converting them. I think they may have converted 3 out of the 4 times they ended up in that situation. But when you play a better team, when you play good teams, those things have to get cleaned up. The penalties that are the false starts. One time they got a couple of them in a row. Trevor had a penalty where he a loss of down where he was trying to throw the ball away. He has to throw it away a little bit earlier. The game kind of got away from Trevor a little bit, but the Jaguars defense was playing so well, and for some ungodly reason, and I don't care, but Carolina kept not going for field goals. It would have been a one-score game late in the game had they gone for field goals, but they refused to do it. I guess they felt they needed touchdowns to win this game. A little bit of a side note, there was a lot of discussion during the draft about how good Teteroa McMillan is. Ain't no conversation need to be had. That kid can play. So maybe even if the Jaguars had not been able to trade up for Travis Hunter and they had ended up with Tet, they would have been all right. But we're glad we got Travis Hunter, who did play a couple of downs on defense. But I want y'all to get ready for something. And one thing you're going to have to get ready for is this. There's going to be a lot of people that say if y'all going to play Travis like that as a slot receiver, he wasn't worth all of this stuff that y'all gave up for him. Don't be listening to that because it's still early in the year. It was his first NFL game. Give it time. Give the Jaguars time. Give him time for him to have a bigger impact. Just let it happen. He only did 3 years in college, right? Like a lot of great players do. Let it all happen. The kid played both ways all his life, and now he's in the NFL where you have to condense that a little bit, and they're trying to really, really get that figured out. But just hold your horses, be patient. Don't let people try to knock you off your square today. The Jaguars are 1-0, and they look good, and they play Cincinnati, who struggled with Cleveland. They play them next week. Good win for Jacksonville. Nothing else to say other than the fact that they used to lose these games. I don't think anybody in that stadium thought that there was any doubt that they were going to win. They looked like the better team. And mind you, Carolina picked a couple of picks behind Jacksonville last year. So I can't remember what their record was, but whatever it was, the NFL said that they, because of the weight of the schedule, that the Carolina Panthers were 2 games or 2 spots better than Jacksonville. They weren't even on the same page. They're not even in the same stratosphere as far as talent, as far as where I believe that they can actually go and ascend to this year. So Don't be falling trap for that. Don't let nobody knock you off your square. Look, we're going to have coverage of this all week long. Maybe get a little bit more information on Anton Harrison prior to us recording tomorrow here on Locked On Jaguars. Find out exactly what's going on with that. See how everybody else is doing. And just soak in the fact that they're 1-0. They got off to a good start. Congratulations to Liam Cohen and his entire staff. One of the big questions I had answered was Anthony Campani. Situationally, what would the defense look like? They didn't get a ton of pressure on the quarterback today, but they covered. They did pretty well. I'd like them to see get a little bit more stout in the run game, and I think they can do that moving forward. Make sure you tap into Locked On Jaguars each and every day this week. We'll have it all, man. We'll be right in the middle of it and have our finger on the pulse of the team for you. All right, about 16 minutes for this post-game show. We don't take your time for granted. We thank you very much. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next time here on Locked On Jaguars.